In part 2, I mentioned Eren being detained in Shiganshina and Zeke being escorted to Sina. The reason for this is, in this storyline, Historia isn't pregnant and Rod is still alive, so the government wants to transfer Zeke's Titan immediately, but they also felt keeping Zeke and Eren separated was a good idea. This will play a big role in this part. Shortly after Rod's assassination and Historia's kidnapping, Kaven and the anti-personnel squadron attack Zeke's escort. No one was expecting a large paramilitary force to attack, so the escort was light. Also, Levi isn't guarding the escort, as he's currently in Shiganshina with Erwin, and the operation itself was top secret. Kaven recovers Zeke, then she and her men make their escape. Kaven leads Zeke to the underground tunnels located in Sina. Her objective is to rendezvous with Kenny in the underground city. In this storyline, Kaven's motivations have shifted. She's an extremely nihilistic person who has little faith in anything. Learning of the outside world just validated her prior beliefs, but after working with Yelena, she learns of the euthanasia plan and becomes a fanatical supporter of it. It's the perfect way to rebel against this worthless existence. Kaven is still loyal to Kenny, but he's never revealed how he'll change the world once he gains the ultimate power. Before, she was content with following him blindly, but after learning of the euthanasia plan and now meeting Zeke, that's not enough. To that end, she tells Zeke that Kenny intends on killing Eren. She never informed Yelena she wanted to meet Zeke first before deciding on betraying Kenny. Zeke is amused that an Ackerman thinks he can become a Titan, but for now, Kenny isn't a threat, as he can't make a move until they reach Eren. Right now, Sina is in lockdown. Ever since Historia's kidnapping, all movements to and from the capital are heavily monitored. MPs search every street for Historia's location, but they find nothing. Historia is still in the capital. Kenny is keeping her in the underground city. Ever since Levi and Historia brought attention to the underground city, it's no longer the safe haven that it used to be for Kenny. He knows it won't be long before MPs find him. So to get the MPs off his trail, he and his allies tell everyone that Historia was killed. Doing this has two purposes: plunging Sina into further chaos and convincing Yelena Historia was killed according to plan. Shortly before Sina was placed under lockdown, Xavier and Ymir escaped the capital. Ymir was Historia's royal guard, so the nature of her capture will make her a prime suspect, and Xavier knows the government despises him and will scapegoat him if he stays in Sina. But while Xavier heads to the underground city, Ymir has to make the long journey to Shiganshina alone. The reason why is Ymir wasn't part of the original plan. The plan was for Kenny and Xavier to rendezvous with Kaven and Zeke before pushing on to Shiganshina. Kenny had altered the plan, so now, while they're making their journey, MPs will transport Historia to a secret location. Ymir obviously can't go with Historia, as that defeats the purpose of Kenny's plan to use Ymir and Xavier against Eren. And if Zeke sees the Jaw Titan user, he'll suspect a trap. For Ymir, she's had experience sneaking around the walls. She has no problem doing it again to save Historia. Xavier rendezvous with Kenny, and the first thing he does is confirm Historia's safety. Upon seeing her, we see tensions between them. From Historia's perspective, she saved him. Then he rewards her by working with the man that killed her mother. She demands to know why he and Ymir are working with Kenny. Xavier explains that Ymir had stopped Kenny from killing her. Right now, she's being hunted for assassinating the queen. If Historia wants to survive, and for Ymir's sacrifice not to be in vain, she'll stay quiet and follow instructions. Kenny then hands over Historia to MPs loyal to him, and they begin transporting Historia to the meeting point in Walmeria. Only Only when Ymir and Xavier complete their end of the deal will Historia be handed over. Zeke rendezvous with Kenny in the underground city. Zeke wants to know how Kenny plans on smuggling them to Shiganshina when the walls are being locked down. Kenny calmly states that the government is expecting them to make a beeline to Eren's location, so they will take a different route from Stohez to Karanis before pushing towards Shiganshina. It will take longer, but they will avoid capture. Zeke accepts, and the group begins their journey. Erwin visits Eren in his cell. Erwin is still in Shiganshina. He just learned about Rod's assassination and Historia's kidnapping, but the news of Zeke's escape had not reached him yet. He was about to go to Sina, but decided to speak with Eren first. He tells him that Rod was assassinated and Historia was kidnapped. The tone of his voice implies he suspects Eren was complicit. Eren feigns ignorance over both incidents. He then states bluntly everything he did in Marley was to protect the island, so there's no reason to keep him imprisoned. In fact, keeping him locked up puts the island in greater danger. Erwin reassures Eren that his loyalty isn't being questioned, which is why he'll take a gamble. He'll shield Eren from immediate execution, but if he wants to be released, he'll reveal what he and Zeke are planning. After Erwin finishes speaking, he leaves. Eren punches the wall in anger over Kenny not killing Historia as he instructed. If she's alive, then there is nothing protecting Zeke. Now Eren doesn't care for Zeke as a person, but according to his future memories, Zeke needs to be alive in order for him to save everyone. Remember, in this storyline, Eren derives his self-worth from being a savior. He's terrified that if things change even a little bit, it will lead to Paradis' destruction. Erwin sits down and ponders his next move. It was clear from Eren's reaction that while he was expecting Rod's death, Historia's kidnapping came as a surprise. Was he planning on killing her? Or was he surprised she was even targeted at all? He knows Zeke's allies weren't behind this, as they would have killed Historia and Rod to protect him. Pixis had mentioned to Erwin the possibility of Marleyan sympathizers, but Erwin is doubtful. Why would Marley kill Rod but save Historia? Erwin doesn't have enough evidence to offer an alternative, so for now he'll assume Marley was behind this until he can uncover the true perpetrators. This is the real reason why Erwin will begin shielding Eren from punishment. If this was Marley's handiwork, then any calls to execute Eren might just be the perfect cover-up to destroy Paradis' best chance at winning. He orders Levi to guard Eren's cell and warns him to treat anyone that approaches Eren as hostile. Zeke's escort getting attacked becomes public news, along with the news of Historia's assassination. The calls to execute Eren grow, but are met with resistance from Erwin. Erwin would rather Eren have the Founding Titan than potentially a Marleyan spy getting their hands on it. In this storyline, while the Jaegerists do not exist, a number of soldiers still believe Eren is their savior, especially after his successful attack on Marley. That's how the plans to execute Eren become public news, and large protests form as a result. Eren is still in prison, with Levi watching him. They don't say much to each other, outside of the occasional remark from Levi, lamenting that his comrades gave their lives for nothing, and how things are back to square one, with the government debating on executing Eren being locked up, and him questioning what kind of soldier Eren is, while watching him from outside of a cell. Eren says nothing, and maintains a serious demeanor, but deep down, he's anxious. His plan could be falling apart, and he wouldn't know it. All he can do is have faith in Kenny of all people to not betray him. The storyline with Gabby and Falco escaping prison before encountering Sasha's family remains the same. Yelena and the volunteers also distribute the wine to government officials, just like in the original storyline. Erwin looks into Rod's assassination and the attacks on Zeke's escort. He learns the MPs guarding Rod and the ones that captured Zeke were holdovers from the old regime. Despite taking care to purge the military police of anyone allied to the royal government, some managed to slip through the cracks, and and now they've allied with Zeke and Yelena. Zachary fears they may be planning a coup to reinstate the old government. He overrules Erwin's insistence on keeping Eren alive and gives the order to transfer the founding titan to someone more trustworthy. He also dispatches Hanji to investigate the restaurant where Marley and volunteers are working. Thanks to Ymir disappearing immediately after Historia's kidnapping, it became clear she was complicit, and everyone knows she wouldn't join any alliance that would sacrifice Historia. And if they assume Historia is still alive, then Zeke has no leverage, provided they can recover Historia. At the restaurant, events play out the same at first. Falco accidentally ingests the wine, and Mikasa saves Gabby from Kaya. But since the Jaegerists do not exist, Hanji, Mikasa, Armin, and the others aren't imprisoned, so they're able to send a message back to the higher-ups that the wine they've been drinking contains Zeke's spinal fluid. Since all the higher-ups drank the wine, they're at Zeke's mercy. Hanji reports Niccolo's story of Marley destroying an entire city overnight by weaponizing Zeke's spinal fluid. Even without the Jaegerist existing, just through the wine, Yelena and Zeke have brought Paradis to its knees. Yelena's terms are such: release Eren from prison and call off the hunt for Zeke. Erwin and Zachary accept, and Eren is released from prison, and the order is given to stop hunting down Zeke. For Yelena, her plan worked lawlessly. She removed the two royal-blooded Eldians and secured Zeke's safety as a result. The attack on Zeke's escort was successful. All the higher-ups drank the wine, and now Eren has been released. The only hole in her plan was Eren's safety. While Zeke's safety was assured, the higher-ups could have executed Eren at any point. While Erwin shielding him did help, what ended up protecting Eren was the attack on Zeke's escort. Zeke being escorted to Sina was supposed to be top secret, and not only was it uncovered, but a large paramilitary force managed to attack it and disappear without a trace. That was terrifying to Zachary and the rest of the higher-ups, and it ruled out any immediate efforts to transfer Eren to Sina. And this hysteria over Marley and spies bought time for the wine to circulate. And now that Eren's released, all she has to do is wait for Kenny to bring Zeke. Then her victory is complete. Unbeknownst to Yelena and Eren, Marley's invasion force has landed in Paradis. Peak has infiltrated the walls, and Marley's air force is preparing their assault. I know I said in part 2 that I will cover Marley's assault, but I ended up delving much deeper into the internal scheming between the Titan Shifters and Kenny. So I will cover Marley's assault in part 4, and finally bring this series to a close.